mean, it was just so many reasons. The hope that he brings, right, is so massive for the Husker fan base. So it's not quite on par with that. But like I will say, and again, we joked about doing this every offseason, but the optimism is really high in year 2 for Matt Rule. I mean, there's a belief that he's recruited pretty well. There's a belief that he, won't stand pat, will continue to address whatever holes there might be on the roster through the transfer portal or whatever else. So I think it'd be like just a really positive thing for them. Obviously a huge get in terms of the player himself and for our offensive line prospects for the future, but also just to continue that narrative that like Nebraska's coming back, Nebraska's making a push, at least that the Husker fans believe. Maybe the rest of the country doesn't believe that, but there is a belief that like we're going to turn a corner this year, whether that's 7 wins, 8 wins, whatever it might be. We're going to get back to a bowl game, and then we're going to get over the hump, and Rule's going to, we're on the way back up. That's certainly a belief among, I think, the majority of the fan base. So it would help from that perspective of like, showing Raiola's effectiveness in sort of as a recruiter and his commitment to and belief in building this program and being a part of that. And sort of all those things. I mean, I think it'd be huge. Again, not as I think Raiola, fairly or unfairly, for a kid who's never taken a snap in college, is viewed as transformational for the Huskers. Like he's viewed as that big. So probably not quite that big, but still a big deal.
He did transform into Patrick Mahomes, so he's a transformational player.
He's always looked like that. He's always
Shaps says, if you're buying a high schooler's merch, you need to reevaluate your life.
I'm with you, Shaps.
There's a line there.
I'm with Shaps.
Yeah. Zach, any final thoughts on this subject before we move on?
Well, I think, what it really does if Nebraska lands Sanders is it not only is protecting Raiola, but it's signaling to other future signal callers, premier signal callers, this is a place where you can come develop and be protected. And so I think it's big because you're going into North Carolina, you're getting a guy out of North Carolina. But I also think it'd be big in the sense of like, you're now setting a much better foundation for a school that quite honestly has really struggled offensively. I think right now we talk about Nebraska's defense as having been pretty decent over the past several years. It's been the offense that struggled. That's going to change. It's changing with Raiola, and it's going to change even more so if they get Sanders.
Yeah, 100%.
I agree. All right, good David Sanders convo there. We are going to hit an ad really fast, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about JuJu Lewis. Have you ever wanted to watch all 22 film, that film the coaches watch? Well, now you can. Introducing the Coaches Film Room. Over at Minutes to Sports, former college coach Zack Smith breaks down film of the most relevant teams in college football with a bit of a Big Ten lead. It's not free, so you'll need to sign up for the Colonel tier, which is $25 a month, but I can attest to you that it is far more worth it than that. With about 4 to 8 games per week, this is worth so much more money, not to mention Zach's analysis, making you a smarter football fan. Go check it out. The links are in the description, minutestosports.com. You won't be sorry. All right, gentlemen. JuJu Lewis, the longtime USC quarterback commit, and if USC is good at recruiting anything, or I guess I should say Lincoln Riley is good at recruiting anything, it's quarterbacks. Well, Tom Loy came out and he had some thoughts on the commit that JuJu Lewis has been visiting Auburn, Colorado, and Indiana. Well, right now he is giving the lean to Indiana to flip Julian Lewis from USC. That's right. He's giving the lean to Kirk Cignetti in Indiana to flip a quarterback away from Lincoln Riley and USC. His quote is, "I do not expect him sticking with his pledge to the Trojans. Right now, I give the edge to Indiana over Colorado and the field." Zach, this would be an absolutely huge get for Indiana. We talk about a 5-star coming in and changing your program like David Sanders for Nebraska. I mean, this would be an astronomical level for Kirk Cignetti in Indiana. Is Kirk Cignetti about to beat out Lincoln Riley and Deion Sanders for Julian Lewis, Zach?
What I would say is it's not over till January. and then it's really never over because of NIL, transfer portal. Having said that, you can just tell. I forget who it was that was interviewed on Kings of the North podcast. I believe it was Mike Kadick, the senior center for the Hoosiers. The confidence that he was carrying himself with, and how he was talking about Curt Cignetti coming in, bringing like all these different players from the group of, really, it felt like all the group of 5 teams that at least they're all stars coming to Indiana. There is a buzz about this team that I don't think we've ever seen. Like, when's the last time the Hoosiers have ever had a buzz? You know, I think the last time was 2021, where Michael Penix then got hurt, and then they ended up going like 3-9 or 2-10. So like, I think there's a lot of buzz, and I think there's some substance to it. So I don't know if I would firmly plant myself in this is definitely going to happen. You know, I think a lot, recruiting can certainly take a lot of twists and turns, but if I'm Indiana, I like my chances against Colorado, especially after they play their first couple games. But that being said, my question is, what is going on at USC where JuJu Lewis wants to leave Lincoln Riley? What's going on there? Is there something like, is there a disagreement between coach and recruit? So that's one question I have. I think the other thing I would say is, I think if they get Lewis, Indiana very, very easily could become a perennial like 7-9 win team overnight, because this year the schedule is very manageable. Their first 6 games: FIU, Western Illinois, at UCLA, Charlotte, Maryland, at Northwestern. The back half is tough, but I mean, they can get to a bowl game this year. And then if you look at their schedule next year, it's similarly pretty easy comparatively to the rest of the Big Ten. And you get that, plus you get a generational quarterback. Maybe not generational, that term is used too much, but
it's a 5-star quarterback. This would be one of the best, if not the best recruit that Indiana has ever signed.
For Indiana, it's transformational. I think that is fair to say. And you have these schedules to kind of build on. Like, I really like that for Curt Cignetti, if he can land this.
Totally. I want to get TJ's thoughts on this just in a second, but I have a couple comments here. Jared says, what's the connection to Lewis to Indiana? Sheesh. The quarterback coach at Indiana that Curt Cignetti hired was the quarterback coach for Julian throughout, I believe, all of high school. So he no longer works with him because he's the quarterback coach at Indiana. And I forget what his name is. I should have looked that up, but I believe that is the connection that is making Julian so interested in Indiana. And then Braska Rascal says primetime Dion fans would flip out if JuJu goes to Indiana. Yes, they would. I figured in addition to this being a Big Ten topic, any Dion slander, Colorado slander would be appreciated by our Nebraska friends tonight. Isn't that right, TJ?
That's welcome. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. JR, I was going to say Tino Sunseri is the quarterback's coach.
Tino Sunseri, yes. So TJ, I mean, I know you're probably not following this recruitment a whole lot. This isn't, top of mind for you like David Sanders is. But, I mean, just talk about, like, this Indiana program, what Curt Cignetti has done coming in here, being so brash and so, just confident in himself, instilling confidence in his players. I mean, are you buying into it, or are you like, nope, this is the Indiana of old, 3-9, 2-10. They're going to struggle against Akron. Here they come.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on that. Thank you for asking. Let me say first.
I figured you did.
Let me say first that while I don't have a lot of respect for Indiana as a football school, I'm like fully cheering for JuJu Lewis to choose Indiana over USC and Colorado, because those are like, I would love to see like both of those programs be, suffer and be upset. And especially, like, anyway, so I don't want to go down a rabbit hole. I'm really just curious. I've been curious all along. Lincoln Riley inherited the keys to the Porsche at Oklahoma. So we know he can coach, but can he build something on his own? I believe that's yet to be proven one way or the other. Obviously, he's had good seasons at USC. They've been better than Nebraska's seasons. Fair enough. But I think this transition to the Big Ten is going to be harder for USC than they think it is. Anyway, that's a side note. But let me tell you, are you guys fans of The Godfather? Kurt,
I'm not like obsessed with it, but I've seen it and I enjoyed it.
Kurt Signetti is Mo Green, okay? And Hyman Roth in The Godfather Part 2 says, I knew Mo. I knew he was headstrong, talking loud, saying stupid things. That's Mo Green, and that's Kurt Signetti, okay? He waltzes into the conference, like, good for you. Isn't he the JMU guy? I don't even remember.
Yeah.
JMU? Yeah, that's a nice – I used to live in Virginia. Like, JMU's, that's a nice campus. What are they, like D2, D3? I don't remember. Like, good for you, Kurt. Good for you. Congratulations. But, like, wait till your boys get knocked in the chin strap, even by Northwestern a couple of times. I know you – the first part of that schedule is not that hard, but, like these guys waltzing in, he's brash, talking loud, saying stupid things. And I'm not a believer. I'm not a buyer. We talked about this on our show. I'm offended that they're even trying. They've got a great history when it comes to basketball, which isn't going very well for them recently. So they should just focus on finding their next Bobby Knight and getting back to being great at basketball. And like, you've got, in the state of Indiana, you got the movie Hoosiers. Everybody loves Hoosiers. You at the University of Indiana, you're known as a basketball school. Just try to get that right. That's great. But like, the football thing is not going to work for them. It's never going to work for them. And like, Mo Green, aka Kurt Signetti, is in for a huge awakening in his first Big Ten season and his entire tenure in the Big Ten. That's what I think.
No, I love it.
You have a lot of thoughts. Matty, your thoughts?
Well, first of all, my co-host of the Common Fan podcast, his views and opinions of Italian Americans are all his and his own. Anybody out there that wants to, file any complaints, it's not JR's fault. It's not Zack. It's not me. TJ Burkle. I can give you his email address if you need it.
I believe that was also a Godfather 2 reference from the committee hearing, Matteo. But
yes.
Mo Green wasn't even Italian, I don't think. Anyway.
That's right. He was not. But no, you know what? While I love and appreciate my lifelong friend and co-host, I will at least go as far as to say, if Indiana can get JuJu Lewis, it would be massive for them. Not that long ago, Michael Penix was slinging around in Indiana, and they did all right with having him there. It shows
when he wasn't injured. When he wasn't injured.
But you get a caliber guy like that, it can get you can steal 7 or 8 wins when you got a guy that good. So it would be huge for them. But unfortunately, I do agree a little bit with my co-host. Even though our Huskers have been so bad over the last 7 years or so. Yeah, in Indiana, they probably should just cancel football.
TJ, I think this is for you. Scott Frost sleeps with the fishes. That's a murder reference in Godfather, correct?
I mean, we just got to tip the hat to that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Troy says, yeah, but Mo Green built one hell of a town before his arrogance got the best. So maybe
that's a hell of a call.
That is a hell of a call.
It was a desert stopover for GIs. Yeah, no, that's a heck of a call. He built it into a great town.
Billy Tuesday has an interesting thought here. He says, one of the things that has been holding the Big back is QB play. Nebraska getting Raiola, and now Indiana maybe getting Lewis is good for the conference. And if you think about it, like USC, whoever Lincoln Riley gets, he's going to turn him into somebody special. It seems like he could get a 2-star and he'd come in and, possibly lead the Big Ten in passing yards or something like that. Zack, do you tend to agree that the Big Ten has been held back lately by their QB play? And this is something that if Indiana is able to address, and now with Nebraska being able to address, this is only going to make the Big Ten that much better?
Oh, yeah. I think Dwayne Haskins was the first round quarterback of the Big Ten since Kirk Was it Kirk Collins? No. Not Phil Collins. That's the
Kerry
wrong
Collins.
Kerry Collins.
There you go.
Phil
was gonna
Collins,
say-
the guy with the drums.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about Cousins.
No. Cousins
Kirk
was a
Cousins.
4th rounder, I think.
I was
Yeah,
going to
he
say, I didn't
wasn't
think he was a first round. Yeah.
Yeah. So like it's been, I mean, and Ohio State's certainly had them, but then they're really like quarterback play has been serviceable across the board.
Mhm.
It has not been great. Now that changes a little bit now that you're getting Lincoln Riley into the conference. If you count last year, you had Michael Penix. But like, yeah, quarterback has not been a position of strength in the Big Ten historically.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been something that has been hard for the Big Ten fans. And I know that when Kyle McCord came out and said something about like, what's the difference between the Big Ten and the ACC, he talked about how the ACC is going to have quarterbacks throwing the ball all over the round, which, got Ohio State fans a little riled up. But I looked at it and I was like, he's not wrong. The ACC has terrible defenses and they generally have better quarterbacks. Now, do I think the quarterbacks they have this year are that much better than the Big Ten? I don't think so, but in a general sense, they normally do have better quarterbacks than what the Big Ten has been able to put out there and produce. So
Let me just say, if I could say really quick, JR,
go ahead.
I appreciate Billy Tuesday's sort of egalitarian, like pro conference approach, being able to set his fandom aside and see that it's good for the conference. Thank you, Billy Tuesday, for the positive vibes.
It's tough sometimes, but Billy's good at that. He always comes in here with that. Well, Brian is pro conference. He says Husker fans are much cooler than the scum and NIT fans. I think
Thanks,
NIT
Brian.
is that Penn State?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
Michigan.
yeah.
That's team up
Yeah.
north in Penn State.
Michigan and Penn State.
Yeah. So
Hey, we appreciate that.
There
Thanks,
you go.
Brian.
You guys have passed the Michigan and Penn State fan bar.
Hey, we'll take it.
Take it.
I guess
We'll take
I
it.
mean,
Yeah. No, we are cool. We are cool.
Yeah.
So he's right.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah. Brian's right. He says NIT equals Nittany Lions equals PSU, which equals Penn State, right?
To
I mean,
to
what-
any Penn State or Michigan fans listening, we love you guys too, but also like Nebraska fans are awesome.
Hey, thanks, Zack.
Love it, Zach.
we've had Penn State fans on here before.
I know a couple of good ones. They're good
Yeah.
people.
I
The
gotta
Nittany News
be
podcast.
careful what I say about what we say about Penn State because I live an hour from State College. So if you don't want my house to burn to the ground, like we need to be kind to them.
The Amish will protect you.
Hey, and if your house does burn down, they will quickly help you build it back
Well,
up.
that's-
that is-
they're
at a
excellent
very at a
excellent
very high
carpentry.
cost, but yes.
yes.